he spends time bussing with the boys. But since Alabama's lost, he gets to come down here where we're cussing with the boys.
Hey, you don't get that on ESPN there, Pate.
When did you write that?
Yeah.
Just now.
Did you like it, Pate? Was that a good one?
Cussing with the boys.
Not only did I love it, but more importantly, I believe it. I believe it. It gives off an authentic vibe. Scale of 1 to 10, how miserable, interesting, eclectic has the week been down there so far?
It's I guess it's a 10. I mean, you cannot go anywhere in this city of Birmingham without either having someone talk to you about that loss or hear people. I don't think I've been anywhere in Birmingham this weekend when I haven't heard a conversation about it. Anywhere.
One of my neighbors came out of his dwelling yesterday as I was going to the mailbox and was like, I never thought I'd see Alabama play like that.
Yeah.
And I was like, just trying to pick up my ads out of the mailbox, dude. just need to get all this stuff out of here.
So, Pate, you're on a much bigger scale than we are. But I had people blaming me. I cannot believe you picked Alabama to win the national championship.
It was totally your fault.
I know you did the exact same thing. So, on a scale of 1 to 10, how baffling is the fact that Alabama, and I came across this, we're finding new numbers all the time. The first team, let me get this right, first team ever ranked in the top 10 to lose an opener to a team that lost 10 or more games the year before. So you got to keep up with all these numbers that keep rolling out. But, I mean, I was blown away, no energy. It seemed like the effort wasn't where it needed to be. From your vantage point, what do you see?
Never been more surprised. I'm not going to say in my whole life. I don't remember being more surprised by a college football result. This was App State over Michigan level stuff for me, just in terms of what happened, although it happened over the span of 4 hours. So I kept on saying it over and over again. I was doing Portland radio about 20 minutes ago. Even they're talking about it. And it's mainly Trailblazers up there. Even they're talking about it. So everyone's talking about it. Everyone's dumbfounded by it. A couple of the things that I've had thrown in my face that I'm not going to walk back on is, but you said you went to some of their practices and you really liked what you saw. I did. And I did. There's nothing that I take back from that. I don't think my eyes lied to me. Now, what my eyes led me to predict, that went horribly awry. But by the way, you guys know several folks, former players, coaches, scouts, and whatnot that occasionally go to Bama practices. Did you hear anyone, forget me, did you hear anyone tell you it's not looking good over there?
Nope.
Don't love what we're seeing over there. So, I mean, correct me if I'm wrong. This time last year, Saban himself went and watched Florida State work out and said, that team's winning the ACC. That's a good-looking team right there. They were dead on arrival. They showed up in a casket. So there's never a pulse for the team. So what we have concluded here is practice can lie to you. The game doesn't. Practice can lie to you, I guess. I do feel the need to point out that it is 1 week. I know this is not popular to say down there right now. It is 1 week. Because I know how physical and how flying around those practices I went to were, I still have hope that that's somewhere in there. What's tough for me to square is it's one thing if you just make execution-based mistakes. But if the mistakes are more fundamental, maybe like DNA-based, by that I mean, the non-negotiables, effort, toughness, accountability, ability to sustain, will to win, that sort of thing. If that's not present, I don't know that you have some magical, come to Jesus team meeting and get all that right. But I can't explain what happened to begin with. So it would be foolish to think I can explain where they are right now. So they may come out with their hair on fire Saturday, which proves nothing. They may do it again against Wisconsin, and all anyone's going to say is, yeah, but that style of offense is not the one that would expose you. Plus, it was a home game. But now go to Georgia. Go on the road and beat them. That's the next game. You guys know that as well as I do. Now, if it really falls off the cliff and they lose to Wisconsin, it's a moot point anyway. But the Georgia game's the one everyone has circled now. That's the one where you kind of find out what your season's going to be made of, I guess.
The discussion about the end already after week one, that's what has my head spinning up here. And we've all read the On3 Chris Lowe, Andy Staples, who I know you respect a lot in their reporting, with the unnamed booster that hangs in the Booster Hall of Fame over in Tuscaloosa.
Only Alabama would have a Booster Hall of Fame.
I mean,
is Logan Young still in it, or did he get kicked out by Pete Rozelle?
Tell me, Pate, as a national guy, more national now than you've ever been, but as a national guy, when you see that the discussion about the end after week one, what's the first thing that pops into your mind?
Not that. It goes in one ear and out the other. I don't doubt, by the way, I mean, Chris Lowe's the man. I love Andy. So it's not that they didn't get that quote. It's that guy's nameless for a reason, I would say at this point. And by the way, if my face is hanging somewhere, that means I'm rich enough not to care if I put my name
That's
on it.
right, yes.
So I'm putting my name on everything. Look, those people like to talk. They earn the right to. They pay the money to be able to. So I would ask this. This is going to sound like I'm running PR for them. It's going to sound like I'm the SID over there. But I don't care if we're talking about any program. It could be Arkansas. What is it that you want for the program? I would imagine this person wants the program to succeed. They pay a lot of money to try and see them succeed. Do you really think giving that quote, anonymously or not, is constructive after 1 week? Even if that's the conversation you're having behind the scenes, what purpose does that serve? And how do you not know that you're not further exacerbating a situation by knowing the mushroom cloud of a column like that is going to have that otherwise may have sort of found its way back on track? How do you know you're not further screwing things up? So I listen to it, and I always think it's foolish to be talking hot seat period this time of the year. I'm not even doing it with Dave Aranda, and we all know he's on it if he loses this weekend. So I'm certainly not doing it with Kalen DeBoer. But the other thing I would just ask is, what is it you want out of all this? And are your actions contributing to the forward momentum of getting that thing? So I read it. I didn't make much of it. Respect them for being able to get the quote. But as for the quote itself, I didn't think much of it at all.
Josh Pate is with us, host of Josh Pate's College Football Show. You guys got anything else on Alabama? I was going to move on.
Well, I wanted to ask you on Florida State. Like, I don't know what we know about Florida State. Like, they looked like they played with a ton of energy. They looked like they had, the speed to, compete, obviously win the ACC after what we saw in the second half with Clemson. But, like, did you take Florida State away saying, hey, this team can win the ACC?
We're not supposed to talk like that, Lance. It's just Bama sucks. Yeah. I don't know if you got that memo. I sure did. I think that week one still has a lot of context. I think September will provide a lot of context on week one, because I have it on good authority. Miami goes to Tallahassee in a few weeks, like within the calendar month they go in there. And it could be that we're talking about Florida State being a top 10 team after they beat Miami. Like, I don't know that. But what we do know is, Alabama or not, generically, every single year, there is an outcome or two or three or half a dozen in the beginnings of a season that we look back on at the end and we reassign either credit or remove credit from it, because what's happened? We have watched the games play out and we have learned. We've got proper context provided. So, I mean, last year, Georgia Tech had pulled off a massive upset over Florida State. Well, no one talked like that by Halloween because Florida State sucked. So maybe Bama sucks this year, and this wasn't worth anything for Florida State. Maybe Florida State's a great team, and Bama went down there and got ambushed and learned lessons from it, and both of them are good. Maybe, I don't know. But those 3 words right there, I guess it's 4 words if you don't count the contraction. I don't know. There's a lot of skill in just having the audacity to say that this time of year, because I got news for you. After last week, I've never been more confident. I do not know.
Josh Pate is with us. Josh Pate CFB, the Josh Pate's College Football Show, the same places you get our shows, so go set your alerts and support Josh's product there. You also see him on a variety of networks and sports platforms. The Fall Don't Lie Tour will have 2 stops this weekend, Iowa State and Ames, and Michigan, Oklahoma, and Norman. Incidentally, I had no idea Kirk Ferentz could become the winningest Big Ten coach of all time with a win. That blew me away, Pate, when I found that out yesterday. I did not know that.
Yeah, that's what legends are made of.
I guess so.
Go coach half a century somewhere and become an institution and coach until you own all the records. That's how you do it. That's how you do it in radio. That's how you do it in coaching. That's just how you do it.
Wow.
What?
Was that a shot at
me?
You?
No. At you?
Yeah.
No.
Okay.
No.
All right.
The shot at certain others that I have noticed wear out their welcome, not in the Birmingham market, but in other markets. And I look at it and I say, I know what he's doing. He wants the record. That's why he's hanging on. He's just going.
Most shows. The second half of the Ball Don't Lie Tour, though, is going to be in Norman, a fascinating game where when I thought about this game in the summer, I didn't think my question coming into this game would be Michigan's defense. But after Saturday, I kind of wonder about Michigan's defense against John Mateer.
I wonder about both of them. I think that there is a high likelihood that quarterback mistakes determine this game because both of them are big-time talents. Underwood and Mateer are both, they have star potential. Whether they become stars remains to be seen. But neither one of them's played on this stage. Neither one of them's faced this caliber of competition in college. Underwood has been playing college for 5 minutes, so he hasn't done anything. And they're both going to be in a position where at some point they're going to be asked to win the game. Because I don't think either of their running games is going to take over. If one does, it'll be Michigan's. But I just don't see Brent Venables sitting there watching them do what FSU did to Bama and just march down the field. I don't see that happening. So he'll make Underwood beat him. Michigan does not have good receiver talent. And so there is a chance you try and force some stuff and you end up forcing turnovers. And then on the other side, Mateer, I mean, there's a chance that they're sitting there under 3 yards per carry and it's a bunch of 3rd and 7s. And he knows he's got a lot of hype and they're trying to do what they couldn't do against Tennessee last year, that big home game they had against Tennessee. So I think a couple of costly mistakes are going to decide that one. I just think if it goes against Oklahoma, we're talking about DeBoer right now. That thing gets turned up quickly on Brent Venables, and Auburn comes in there a couple of weeks later, and that is it's an early season must-win game for them, I think.
Kirk Ferentz, back to him, the Cyhawk Trophy. So Mark Gronowski comes over from South Dakota State, 54 starts there, was not good against Albany. Do you think there was a little bit of sandbagging going on? Because they rushed for 310 yards. Now they're playing Iowa State. This game is one of those, if you think you figured it out, it's the other side always, and everybody's saying Iowa State and Rocco Beck are going to win this game. Do you think Iowa finally shows us that they've got a quarterback and they're able to go vertical?
Quarterbacks don't happen to Iowa, Lance. Iowa happens to quarterbacks. And I think Iowa may be happening to Mr. Gronowski. Certainly he's going to throw for over 50 yards. We've got to think that's kind of a bold prediction for Iowa, but we've got to think at least that's going to happen. I looked at that box score. I cannot tell you I watched a whole lot of that game. I looked at that box score and thought what you thought. They ran for over 300 yards. They carried it over 50 times. So clearly that's going to invert itself a little bit here. But then the follow-up of sandbagging week one with a new quarterback is you haven't really seen him with true live bullets flying. So you're going to go on the road with him. You don't really know what you have. And then on the other side, Rocco Beck started there for 19 years. So I do know what I have with him. Bojangles with the Iowa State color palette back there, by the way. So that's a tip on the pick. Look, the one risk you always run is Iowa just gets into death mode running the ball and you can't stop them. I actually think popping a couple of explosive passes is what Iowa needs. Kansas State scored 2 touchdowns on explosive pass plays in that week 0 game against Iowa State. They still lost, but that's how they moved it. If Iowa can do that, they can win the game. If they can't, short of one of those +4 turnover games like they had a couple of years ago up in Ames, I think Iowa State will end up taking this.
The Cafe Risque Bowl, USF in Florida this weekend. South Florida, man, they look pretty good spanking Boise State. Can they do anything with the Gators there in the swamp, you think?
I think so. They've just profiled as a team that plays these games tough. They've done it against Bama twice. Either Miami or Florida they did it against recently too. They don't win them. They haven't won any of these games. They did beat Boise the other day, but there's something about Alex Golesh getting his guys up for these kinds of games and understands how to structure it to where it's competitive in the fourth quarter. So I think the number I checked last night was 17.5, and I actually took USF plus the points. So I expect a Florida win. I expect the kind of game that makes you look and you say, oh, Florida's got some flaws, which of course they do. Everyone does, but people won't care. They'll say, oh, they got flaws, man. That right there is not going to win on the road at LSU and Miami the next 2 weeks. And let's remember, that is their schedule the next 2 weeks, at LSU and at Miami back-to-back. So I do think the answer is yes, and I also think that the drumbeat will continue to grow about Alex Golesh getting a bigger job, which I think is inevitable. I just think John Summerall, guys like that have the opportunity to wait for the right one to come open.
If you had told me without a name, blind resume, SEC quarterback goes 10 of 23 for 85 yards and a pick in week 1, I promise you my response would have been, but Kentucky still won, right? That was Zach Kells on his line. I mean, that's it. You talk about Iowa and quarterbacks. That's a Kentucky quarterback line, right? So what?
First off, that's a very sadistic, accurate comment.
Yes.
And secondly, it's almost to the point where if a Kentucky quarterback goes 28 of 37 for 330 yards and 3 touchdowns, you almost look at it and say, like, what are you trying to prove? That's not us. What's wrong with you?
Yeah, I don't know if a Kentucky quarterback registers on DraftKings. Like, I don't know if you ever played the Saturday Fantasy, but I don't know anybody that would ever put one in.
He's my flex. I'm just trying to get 83.
But I mean, Calzada, we saw him. He was 6-4 as a starter at A&M. He had 35 touchdowns last year at Incarnate Word. It's just like whoever goes there, Devin Leary, pick your guy.
But why am I worried about Ole Miss this week then? Why? I mean, how can that beat Ole Miss? And it did last year.
You just worry that Kentucky has possession of the same poison they had possession of last year, which is one of the only ways to describe how inexplicable that result was. Also, maybe Kentucky just caves their offensive line. The crowbar theory, as I like to call it. Maybe they can throw the crowbar in the bicycle spokes, and it makes Ole Miss's offense grind to a halt. We've never seen Austin Simmons have to play a game on the road. I'm not calling a stadium named after a grocery store the most hostile place in America, but it is the road in the SEC. Mark Stoops has coached for 97 years. Maybe he's got something up his sleeve. You know what this sounds like? It sounds like the predictions for Notre Dame, Alabama in 2012. Everything but X's and O's, I guess, is what you have to hope for. I will have to see Ole Miss not pull away to believe it. That's where I am on that game. I know that I'm not betting it. I'm going to stay away from betting it, but especially after last year, how do you not?
Friday night lines, I love it. I never get my name mentioned. I try to get a game picked or anything, but
on the way, I got bad news for you. Well, it may be great news for you. I have a very big conundrum this week, very big. So I want to play softball Friday night. I never get to play in the fall. Since we're doing the private thing this weekend, we can leave whenever we want to go to Ames, to go to Des Moines.
On the PJ.
So we can leave at like 11 o'clock at night. Yeah. It's incredible. So the question is not whether I do that. Of course I do that. The question is, when do we do Friday night lines? I think it's going to have to happen early Friday evening, maybe. So net result, we get more traffic. But for diehards like you're going to be sitting there at 10 o'clock, halftime of that Friday night game saying, where is it at? And I'm going to be on a softball field in Smyrna, Tennessee somewhere.
No.
When he said it might be good news, I, for a moment, thought Pate was going to say, Dunaway, would you host it for me?
No. I couldn't do it. First of all.
No, I envisioned a national audience being introduced to your betting acumen, and I'm like, this would be fantastic.
I couldn't do it. I just want to know how many people feed information into the model. That's what I want to know.
One person runs it for me, but there's a bunch of – I'm not even going to pretend to understand how to write code and how this stuff works. But it's like a bunch of tributaries flowing into one pool, and hopefully the pool makes us money.
Yeah. I bet them all last week because you gave me the advice. You don't just pick and choose. Either you're all in on the model, you're not in on the model. It was a winner.
Miami, 4-3. Yeah. Miami came through for us.
There we go. Yep.
All right, go follow Pate on social media at Josh Pate CFB. You always see him on his platform, Josh Pate's College Football Show on YouTube, Apple Podcast. Everywhere you get us, you get Pate as well. But you can also now see him as part of On3, ESPN, Yahoo Sports, Bussin' with the Boys. He is everywhere. Josh Pate's College Football Show. Pate, safe travels this weekend. Thank you so much for the time, buddy.
I appreciate it, sirs.
All right, take care. Josh Pate with us on the Alexander Shinora Trial Attorneys Hotline.